But if anyone did suffer with sciatica during pregnancy, please comment. Let us know. I really am interested to know how you got through it. I know Pilates is supposed to be good, so there's a pregnant woman online that does all these safe pregnancy Pilates that I'll probably start. And I have a cross trainer, which, is low impact, and that really helps with movement in my back. It was squats that were, don't do squats if you're prone to sciatica.
Yeah.
But that does get us on the subject this week. We are going to be talking about the healthcare system in Taiwan, especially because there's some things that happen here that don't need to happen. And we want to educate the Taiwanese women as well as the foreign women here that are new mums. So we recently reached out to some mums and spoke about this topic, and everyone seems to have a really similar story. And we were discussing this morning how to pronounce this word.
Yes.
And I always worry about my pronunciation because I'm English, not American. But
episiotomy.
Episiotomy. Yeah, what is episiotomy, Cheryl?
Yeah, so I told you about this when you first got pregnant. And
yes.
I don't know why I said this to you, because you were just like newly pregnant and not even close to birth. And I'm like, don't let them cut your vagina. And you were like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, just don't. Because it's a very, very, here the doctors are very, I call them like scissor happy, because my doula, I had a lovely doula. Her name's Angela. Hopefully she'll be on the podcast soon. Told me that they have a 99% episiotomy, is that how you say it? Episiotomy rate, where they like to cut, and it's something that they don't even ask the mother or say anything about. They just kind of do it, and then afterwards you just like thought it's part of the process. And if she hadn't told me about it, I would have also been like, yeah, well, my doctor just did it, and that's the way birth goes these days. But
it's
yeah,
crazy. So we know we have a doctor in common, like a friend in common, and she also says the same. Like, she's like, yeah, we cut like that. You should cut, like that's normal. It makes for a quicker delivery. The baby comes out safer. But your doula Angela actually commented and said here, what was it? Oh yeah, so in other countries, so in Western countries, 10% of women get episiotomy, get their vagina cut, due to reasons which we will go over later.
Yeah.
In Taiwan, 99% of women. What a difference. 10% to 99. That's not even slight. That's a massive difference.
Yeah. It's crazy, right? Like, I just didn't realize how different it was here. And, when you're a new mom, you don't really ask those questions.
Yeah, I didn't even know, because I'm English. No one else has spoke about getting an episiotomy during birth, during labor. Everyone talks about how they rip, which we will go into later because there are different degrees, and I find that really interesting. But no one's ever discussed that with me. So I come in as like, foreigner, Wygoran, getting ready to give, like, I'm pregnant, thinking about giving birth, and then you come along and you say, don't let them cut you. And I'm like, cut you? Why would they cut me? Like, I'd never heard of it before in my life. And now I'm realizing, oh.
And you were like, oh, but if the doctor says it should be fine, I'm like, yeah, but you need to ask questions. Like, I just always tell people things because I feel like I was not told, and I don't want my friends, like, I wouldn't go up to a random person who's like pregnant and be like, don't let them cut you. But like my friends, I would want them to, I want to look out for them. So I was just like, these are the things that I didn't do. Yes, do it. If the doctor says it's life-threatening, your baby needs it, you need it, okay, then just like do whatever to save both lives. But if you don't ask the questions and you don't do the research, it's easier, because sometimes doctors just want to do it, get you out, and then like go to the next birth. So yes, it is a long process.
It's quicker, it's easier, and I think that they're used to doing it. And I think in Taiwan we do have a fantastic healthcare system here, but sometimes the old ways, they're set in their ways because this is what they know, and they don't know, they haven't learned past that yet. Here it says that routine Do you know what? I'm just going to keep getting this up and just.
Episiotomy.
There we go. Routine episiotomies are no longer recommended. Still, the procedure is sometimes needed. So it's not recommended by doctors all over the world, but yet in Taiwan, they are recommending it to pregnant women, to women giving birth.
Yeah.
So an incision might be recommended if a baby needs to be quickly delivered because, and then it gives 3 reasons here. The baby's shoulder is stuck behind the pelvic bone. The baby has an unusual heart rate pattern during delivery. Forceps or vacuum extraction is needed during a vaginal delivery.
Yes, and I would just like to add that is my baby got stuck in the birth canal for when I was in labor, and the first thing the doctor was like, no, the doctor didn't say that. I lie. The nurse said, hey, can we take the forceps and help assist pull the baby out? And I was just like, yeah, sure, like, is this normal? And luckily Angela, my doula, was there, and she was like, hey, can we actually not do that, because it does, like, not damage the head like permanently, but it does like affect, it's like it just makes it worse. And then they did say, like, then we'll have to cut you if like things get a bit weird down there. And she said, oh, why don't you just like push on the stomach, help assist whenever she has a contraction. And I gave birth like a few minutes later with assistance, and I didn't need all that. And I had like the tiniest tear on the surface, which is not even a 1st-degree tear. It was like minimal. So,
and do you think you would have agreed with what the doctor had suggested if Angela hadn't have been there?
Yeah, I would have just gone with it, because when it was like really painful when I went there, and I did want to have what is it again, the drugs. Okay, so I got there, my birth was
epidural.
Epidural. So my birth was really weird. So I got there, I was already 8 centimeters dilated, and I was in so much pain. And then they gave me an epidural, and some woman, not every woman, the epidural stops the process. So I opened up to 10 centimeters. So you can do this. You can be 10 centimeters dilated. But because of the epidural, I couldn't feel my contractions and everything stopped. So I was open 10 centimeters, but my baby hadn't dropped into the birth canal. So I was ready to give birth, but my baby wasn't ready to come out. So for about 8 hours, I just slept, and I was like, ready. And then they said to me, well, we have given you the epidural, and because everything stopped and we are monitoring baby's heart, we need to get you off the epidural. So they had to like wait for it to wear off and for the contractions to come back. And then when the contractions came back, then we started pushing. So this is why I tell people, epidural's great. It was amazing. Like, as soon as I had it, I was just like, this is amazing. I'm going to take a nap. And when I asked them, they kept saying to me like, oh my goodness, you're 10 centimeters dilated. And I told my whole family, I'm 10 centimeters dilated,
Yeah.
And like a few hours later, my mom sent a message. My husband's mom sent a message. She's like, where's the baby? And I'm like, well, labor has stopped, and I need to go off the epidural because I can't feel anything. We in Taiwan, they have a walking epidural, which is they feed it into like a tube that you can like ask for more. They gave me the smallest amount, and I couldn't walk. Like, literally, the nurse was like, oh, go to the bathroom, have a pee and see. And I was like, I can't walk. And then that's when they realized like something's weird. Like, I don't know what happened.
Okay. Right.
And Angela was like, do you feel okay? And I had like I had a wave of feeling faint, and I couldn't get up. So they just spoke to me and said, well, we need to wait for it to wear off. I don't know if you can start pushing. The baby's not dropped anymore. Like, usually you have the contractions, the baby moves more and more down into the birth canal. And so they were like, you're open, but your baby is still really far. So we need to wait for her to drop. So we waited and waited and waited. And then it wore off. Contractions started again, and I kept telling them like, I'm really scared because it hurts so bad. It was just the worst. I've never felt such pain in my life. And I just remember telling them like, I just want drugs, or just do the C-section. And they were like, it's no, don't do it. Like
Yeah, no, yeah.
Angela was telling me, you don't want to C-section because once the baby comes out, you'll be happy with your birth plan. And I was just like, I don't want it anymore. I have changed my mind. And my husband was like, no, I know you're just in pain right now. And then she
You
came
can do
out,
it. Yeah.
and I was walking that evening. I went to feed my baby. Everything was fine. But
Uh-huh.
I think that if the doctor had told me, because I had such a long time, 8 hours in the birthing room, that I think they would have said, at one stage they did like say, oh, do you want to maybe do a C-section, or do you want to try like a vacuum,
I think you were at a hospital that has a reputation here in Taiwan with foreigners to being more open-minded, to allow the mother to walk around, to not push C-sections or
Yeah.
epis cutting the
Epi-
vagina.
yeah.
Okay. So you were and you were with Angela, who can also encourage and give you professional medical advice.
Yes.
But for some women, that's not the case here. And they go to these hospitals and they just, and rightly so, like you are just taught to listen to your doctor.